Well, hello there, everyone. Here to talk about right here at Adobe Distiller right here, and you see right here that I have these menus right here, but still that whenever it comes to understanding about Distiller, right, you have right here is the images, and then you also have right here are these advanced features for like the fonts right here, these features and with the fonts, but it sure seems that way that. Whenever we look at a document, a lot of times that you probably want to know too is that there is a way that maybe that you can maybe maybe on IKEA that talk about whenever you do select a language or like a font to use, and I guess to say that there's really a difference between the language settings, or if anything the fonts. I'm like fonts are pretty much or like another source of writing, the style in writing. And so it's like your 102 that you use Distiller just to be able to change up the um, the styles a little bit about how things are written, especially that whenever you're trying to write a print name right here. But you see a top of for embedded fonts right here, and top for never embed some. So it sure seems that way that each time we think about embedded fonts and along with it never embedded fonts. So these are right here will be like two different categories right here. But I have right here talk about for that. I don't know if this is a drag and drop right here, but still, if I just click add right there and then just select one of these right here. So yeah, if I were to, so there will be these two boxes right here. So it seems like that when we think about distiller a lot of times, that do we necessarily think about too much about the type of language, like maybe the translation of a document, and also maybe embedding the type of fonts. And so like let's just say that if you're trying to add any text to a document or something like that, but it sure seems that way that when we do speak about distiller a lot of times, that you're thinking is toward okay, yeah, with distiller that when we think about the distiller, that are we necessarily thinking about is images, okay, distilling images and maybe looking at for copyright verification purposes or something like that. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, if you have like the latest version of Distiller, then maybe you would see a lot of these options right here. But you have right here that it looks like it's a list of about maybe 100 different your fonts right here. And yeah, that, italic lyrics. And then also, but it sure seems that way that when we do look at a distilled document, and maybe if it's maybe a PowerPoint or Word document, though, there are a lot of things that I have noticed about that is that knowing that you can go ahead and add your fonts, and that these fonts right here, and that you're likely thinking is toward well, really that if you're not the original publisher to a document for sure, and then you're just knowing about the things that you can do, just for, if it's maybe just for verification purposes or for anything such as toward, okay, yeah, well, what you really are trying to do also is that you're trying to get the document to be more recognized, trying to polish it up and be more recognized. So, like anybody who's going to be looking at this list right here of a different embedding options, for the fonts right here, and at 102 that okay, the things that you would like the fonts that you would like to embed and add and all that. And so it sure seems that way that whenever you're going to be looking at these different options right here, especially right here, talk about for the pixels per inch and all that. So if you were to set that right there, and want to know that, yeah, that looking at these colored images right here, and along with the grayscale, and then along with that monochrome Chrome images. And so when we do speak about images, though, and you're thinking this toward, okay, yeah, with the images that that you would maybe warrant toward that you would come across these menus for any reason at all, why you would be getting this menu right here, for the color images. And it's asking about the pixels per inch right here. So it sure seems that way that for the most time that whenever you do start working on a project, though, then you would for sure that maybe you would notice a difference by the time you do actually work with, like, yeah, if you have any PostScript documents or PDF file documents or anything. But it sure seems that way that whenever you have this option to where you have access to these menu settings here, but still, so to save PDF file settings, inside PDF file document, and then to save portable job ticket to inside a PDF file. So you have these options right here, but like everybody might even want to know too, is that really before or after you export a project into a folder and then go ahead and export that into Distiller? So it's like, based on my experience, it seems like as to where that if you want to go back and make any changes or make any edits of any some sort, to maybe copy your level 2 to copy page, semantics, and so you had these options right here for Distiller. But a lot of times that it's like you're warned to where that really what is the main purpose to a lot of these options right here. And like want to know too that whenever you do receive a PDF file document, that it seems like that the only thing that you really see whenever you look at a lot of those options right there would mainly be about is that you see those settings right there toward it. You actually have access to the actual file, right, or to the PDF file, right, where if it were to contain any media or any graphics or any images or lettering or something like that, view the PDF file, like the portable document file, right? But still, it's like, you can't really make any changes to that file unless if you were to have, like, permissions and, from the publisher and plus, from the editor. But still, that let's just say that with Distiller, that if we're talking about for Distiller right here, that like I say, is to where if you're going to be working for an actual publishing company or working at, if you're going to be working being any sorts of editor, that they're thinking is to where, okay, yeah, that what exactly and where exactly do I really want to start whenever it comes to putting together any sorts of project of a masterpiece to a project. And so it sure seems that way that whenever you do open up Distiller, that you would probably see something like, that the home page right here. But the first thing that you were thinking about whenever you were opening up Distiller would have been for sure is toward if you're trying to just make a one copy of maybe for business reasons or for anything that you came across Distiller while you had Acrobat open or something like that. Or the other reason maybe could also be that just to e-sign a document or something. But how many of us are really going to maybe think as toward, okay, what you're asked to do with using Distiller right here is to say is toward it, somebody's asking you to translate the language to maybe to an Espanol or to a Latin type language, or if anything, that could you add can you add more extended pages to this project right here? So it's like that if somebody was going to be talking to the editor to that company and want to know too, that could you add or could you maybe rotate those pages toward that the first page right here starts out with the front cover right there, instead of I'm like, could you could you change that around to where the front cover would appear on at the page 2 or something? So yeah. So I have right here, I don't really have any projects open right here, so that way we can just kind of see what it does. But it's like when we do speak about Distiller a lot of times, that it's like, that you're warned toward it, that any projects that you're working on, maybe from a program like with InDesign, though, that whenever you were putting together a project, though, and let's just say that you saved that project to a PostScript document or to a PDF file document, that you're thinking is toward it, that media is provided to that reader or to the company you just by a smaller file, right? So a lot of the stuff that we see right here with using Distiller, that does that pretty much mean that you're using a smaller file size to where that you have, something like, yeah, pixels per inch, and so it's like so if I were to look at this right here, and it says the subsimpling 2 and an average, so you have these different menu settings right here, but grayscale image, and so I'm just like wondering that to where that whenever you're trying to put together any document, readable document, right? But then you're warned to where okay, pixels per inch and all that, so it's like yeah, the color images. So with Distiller though, that there will be a program to where that you can actually, to where that you can look at the document, but then of course it's going to probably tell you that this is the source is right here to the location to where that the original publisher and a lot, the information found on that document, the root folder right here. So if we see this right here, the date right here, and it's going to tell you that it's Adobe PostScript software version, and so we know that if we're going to be working as a publisher, though, that a lot of the information about the files that are going to be released, and let's just say that if one of them was published earlier, and maybe if there was a few redos that had to be done with that document, but it sure seems that way that when we do speak about Distiller, that you started using it mainly because that if anything that you were using it from Acrobat, you were actually using it to produce a copy of something, but like a lot of companies might even say that it's another program. It's another way of how you want to call this toward it. If you're just going to go from use them like just a standard reason, or for any reason at all that you want to go ahead and I can go ahead and close out of this right here. But still that talking about whenever it comes to understanding about with Distiller right here, that you have these options right here. Talk about for PDF right here, CMYK, the smallest, and then the press quality, and then the standard right here, the standard classic. So it sure seems that way that each time when we do speak about Distiller, though, you're warned to where that okay, number one, you can also begin by saying this toward okay, the high quality print, or if anything, the oversized pages right here, and so you have these different, you get these different options right here to where the printing of engineering draws larger than 20 by 20 inches, but creating PDF documents can be opened with Acrobat and Acrobat Reader 7.0 or later. So if you change those options right there, but still that we're also talking about that, according to what I'm trying to put together is that that would people would companies use Distiller mainly for that purpose, to where that they can go ahead and open up a smaller document. They can go ahead and open up and make any change or add any particular settings or something like that. But at the time you're thinking is toward well, Distiller, and for sure that with Distiller though, that number one, it's all about trying to get a copy, to trying to get a file to work, so that way you can see, because it would show up right here. So it's like, in case if anybody were to say that, could you go ahead and just show a readable file, a file that would work, but tell people that it's really that what you would really want to do is use a PostScript file document, right? So it's not necessarily a PDF, but we're working right here, I guess, is another way of saying is to where that before you actually create the PDF file itself, that go ahead and use a PostScript file document for that reason, and that reason would be is to work, because if you're going to be working on a file directly from a program like InDesign or InCopy, then you can go ahead and export that, and you save your process, and then open it up with Distiller, just to be able to make adjustments from there, right? But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and top of our understanding